Now, let's start with last night's Champions League. Chelsea 3, Barcelona 0. Hats off to the blue side in West London. They were magnificent.
They
Jim.
really were. They really were. Now, Ferran Torres missed a golden opportunity really early on. Mm-hmm. Other than that, all Chelsea. And you know what? I actually think that red card gives Barcelona an excuse. Yeah. Because the way the game was going, I wouldn't have been surprised if the scoreline had been exactly the same anyway.
No,
They just couldn't live with the pace that Chelsea had. They were quicker in thought and in action. They pressed them hard to the point when they just let them make their own mistakes. Barcelona's high line was a ridiculous idea in this fixture, and Chelsea just absolutely feasted on it. They were so good.
I mean, there's not much to add to that, David, because Jim's kind of summed it all up. But it was an irresistible performance from Chelsea.
Yeah, he sums it really, really well. Chelsea were outstanding from the off, and Jim, like Jim said, to go with that for Barca to go with that high line was ridiculous anyway.
He loves it though.
But to persist with it after you then go down to 10, it's just insane.
I mean, I'm really grateful that they did. It made it very entertaining for us.
Well, I mean, they were queuing up Chelsea players. If you they got the ball in midfield, they switched it out wide, and they had 4 or 5 players just lining up basically to tap it in from a ball across the face. And yeah, they had, what was it, 3, 4 goals disallowed?
I think it was 3 in the end. Yeah, I think one of them stood, didn't it?
Yeah, the Delap one. It was touch and go for that one. But irresistible from Chelsea, and this was a really, really strong performance. And I think, people's going to focus, I think, in Barcelona on the red card, and they already have. I've looked at the papers this morning in Spain, and Araujo's on the front cover, and they're saying like disgrace and all this and what have you like that. But it's quite staggering because, I mean, he was one of the most highly rated young centre backs in the world at one point. But he got a bad injury. He's come back and he simply hasn't been the same again. And he was really, really showing up last night, I think, for just such a silly, idiotic decision.
Captain of the side as well.
Also, the first booking was for arguing with the referee, and then he makes a mad tackle like that
on Marc Cucurella. Does that?
Man of the match, Marc Cucurella.
He was amazing, wasn't he? But the theory holds. People get close to Marc Cucurella and they cannot help but just hit him.
I think he had a bit
lose their minds.
Just whatever body part is nearest.
I think he had a bit of a revenge game, Cucurella. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder about the fact that Barca didn't sign him and bring him back and such like they've done with numerous other players. Ferran Torres, for instance, he came in. Other young players have come back to the club and come into the club. And he always just plays the extra edge against them. You could really, really see he had a point to prove.
Because he can be quite an sort of enjoyably sort of mad player to watch. Whether he's tripping up over himself
or
whatever.
He's chaotic. He's chaotic, but it's a good chaos.
Yeah. I mean, you look at what he's won on the international level and obviously even club level with Chelsea and so on. He puts in those kind of performances. He's on his day. He's one of the finest fullbacks.
I mean, he was basically the designated babysitter for Yamal, wasn't he? Just absolutely,
he did a great
locked
job.
him down completely.
Well, I tell you what, I mean,
he sent him to bed early.
He literally, there were chances.
Has he been in any trouble? Absolutely not. He's been good as gold.
Because he normally is, not with me. I mean, having been at the match, the atmosphere was quite something at Stamford Bridge last night, and obviously in games where Chelsea are at home and the majority of them they've played in the Champions League, when they're playing, say, Ajax, who have been quite poor, or Benfica at home, the games haven't been the most exciting and they're expected to win, and so the atmosphere can be quite laid back and so on. Everyone in that ground was on it, and I don't know, did that feed through to the players or did the I think it was just quite a harmonious situation really, and the crowd fed off the players and vice versa. And there were plenty of chants with regard to Estêvão, should we say, the stress on that syllable, or Stephen, as I like to call him, because that's basically what it is.
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve.
Well, I mean,
everyone I know who you mean.
Well, they were chanting Steve-O in a very, very Chelsea way. But, they were singing to Lamine Yamal, especially when he went off, you're just a shit Estêvão, And because the game was billed as one versus the other, which is, a load of sort of paper talk nonsense. But Yamal very, very quiet, as opposed to his opposite number, Estêvão, who a lot of people have been saying it for a reasonable amount of time now, that this lad is going to be up there with the best players in the world soon enough. That performance, David, and that goal as well. His his demeanour, and he looks like a calm, an older head on younger shoulders. You forget how young he is and how new he is to the Premier League and to Europe in general. I mean, a huge move, of course, from Brazil for a teenager. You run out of superlatives.
Yeah, he's very, very explosive. And I think if he does kick on and goes to be the player that Chelsea hope and Brazilians hope that he can be, then I think we'll probably look back at this and say, this was a bit of a moment. This was the moment when he kind of came, he tipped over the edge sort of thing. And especially the Yamal narrative, of course, added to it. Somebody who is seen as the next big thing. So that was really, really impressive from him. And yes, he does look really impressive. And Chelsea signed a lot of young wingers, and with the hope that some of them, obviously will kick on. And Estêvão definitely looks like the one who you think, all right, okay, he has got a bit of something extra about him over, say, a Gittins or a Garnacho even.
He's a keeper, isn't he? In the way that, as you say, sometimes Chelsea are kind of signing players with a lot of value where they can get a bit out of them and then move them on and replace them.
Scattergun in a way.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it is providing them gradually with a core of brilliant players. Like, obviously, Caicedo's worked out, Fernandes has worked out, Cole Palmer has worked out. You look at Estêvão, Steve. You look at Steve.
Yeah,
you're right.
Steve.
You're right. It's better to call him Steve.
I love it. Last Azpilicueta, who was Dave, and now they've got
exactly.
Steve.
The tradition of it.
He is surely going to be one of those kind of tentpole players as well. And he keeps having these moments. He scored for Brazil recently as well, but it's actually his 5th goal for Brazil that he scored recently. And he's only 18 years old. Just everything in front of him. He is influencing, and he's a very exciting player to watch. That's part of it as well, isn't it? The aesthetic.
Oh, totally,
it's incredible.
Yeah. But the way he jinked it through the defenders, it was either
there's nothing
you're
on
going to foul me or I'm getting through.
And that's not because Barcelona are down to 10.
Yeah.
He's got 2 or 3 men on him there.
Exactly.
Oh, totally. And the finish as well.
I was going to say the backlift on the shot.
But I
really
love that though.
impressive,
Whenever it's a message to all young forwards there. If you get in that position, if you try and go across the keeper, fine. But often the keeper's got the angle when you're quite close in like that. Just roof it.
Yeah,
Stick it in the roof.
High and hard,
as Ryan Giggs showed Arsenal that time, Jim, in a semi-final. It was an unnecessary stray, I appreciate it. But we're talking about the Champions League, and seldom do we ever mention Manchester United these days.
Strays all over the place. It's like I'm on a Greek package holiday, and I like it.
Oh dear. Well, Chelsea, magnificent throughout the side, the intensity they played with. And I think, Jim, that you look at Chelsea, what they're doing this season and where they are in the league, there's a few people saying, can Chelsea, is there a title challenge, for example? And Chelsea fans generally, for what I've heard and witnessed, is kind of like, no, probably not. But when they play like this, and I appreciate this type of performance is just impossible to do week in, week out, because it was so good. But this is what they're capable of, this side. Well,
do you remember last season? It feels like it was around this time as well. They had a really good run, and we were all starting to say the same things. Like, are they a little bit of ahead of schedule here? Is there a potential for them to have a title run in? And they are a year older and a year wiser now in some ways, but
in a very young squad.
Yeah, but again, this is the thing: is that there's a lot of churn with it. So it's about consistency for them. They've got the talent there. Absolutely, there's an amazing squad there. I think it probably is a little bit too soon. Maybe it's that amount of change, and there's still a lot of quite inexperienced players. But I mean, they look more consistent than Liverpool. They look more consistent than Man City. So who knows?
Well, I wonder if, they're 6 points behind Arsenal. I just wonder what the mentality is for, say, Chelsea, or I say one or two other sides. Really, it's Man City and Chelsea. You would say at this point. I wonder if they're going, Arsenal are going to run away with it. So you just naturally, there's just a hint of not switching off, but the focus isn't as razor sharp as it was, say, last night.
To be honest, I'd be surprised if even Man City felt like that. These are all very competitive people. Their entire, careers are geared around competition. Right?
But they're also human beings,
sure.
and that I just wonder what Maresca's saying to those players, because is he saying, "Wait, come on, we're in this title," right? And
I think it'll be game by game.
I think
exactly, he's saying game by game.
And I would say that, David, because I think
slowly.
That's what you're seeing.
And you don't want to put too much pressure on a young squad as well. So if they start thinking that, I could see them crumble. Look, I've still got my doubts about Chelsea on a few areas, about Maresca and how he sets up sometimes in certain games against certain types of opposition.
Most Chelsea fans do as well.
Exactly. The young players as well. And also, I still think there's going to be a kick on from the Club World Cup at some point with that squad.
Yeah.
We've already seen it with Palmer, I think, getting overloaded. And I know he had that freak toe incident incident, but before that, he was clearly overloaded in his groin, and that's what's caused that injury.
Yeah.
And I think they might get a few. The Christmas period is going to be really interesting for how they handle that with all the games being such quick.
Well, I think Cole Palmer coming back. This chat he may feature on the weekend, so that would be a huge boost for them.
He just needs to not get up in the middle of the night for a wee.
Yeah, don't do that.
He'll be hopefully okay.
Or just get. I mean, he's a footballer, so he's not short on means. Get a little urinal right next to the bed.
Yeah.
It might not be the most hygienic thing, Jim. But if it stops him stubbing his toe and going out for a couple of games.
What you probably want in that situation is a little pipe in your room that goes directly into the plumbing.
Now you're talking.
So, it's a little bit more hygienic.
Yes. Ideally, we'd all have a pipe, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I have patented the piss pipe, if anyone is thinking of stealing this. So, I'm also looking for investors. So, sorry, I've derailed that.
I'll give you a
Okay,
tip.
this isn't Dragon's Den, mate.
So Cole Palmer to come back. One man who did come back, though, was Liam Delap.
Yes.
Came on and scored. And I found it interesting that so Pedro Neto played as a sort of false nine or whatever you want to call it. And he's done pretty well this season. He's chipped in with assists and goals. Got great pace, as we know, as he very much displayed at one moment in the second half. So I think he's done pretty well there. But maybe I think it's slightly old-fashioned. I say slightly because most teams do play with one centre forward. But I do tend to think if a side doesn't have somebody up there, I do wonder, how potent are they and so on. And so to see Liam Delap coming back in there, I thought was great for them. Scores, and it was interesting the reaction from the other players. They clearly like the guy. You see, Enzo Fernandez was absolutely delighted for Delap. In fact, I thought Fernandez probably should have shot, actually, originally, when he has that chance, but obviously lays it off to Delap. And
it's a good finish as well.
It was a lovely finish, when the defender was really, really on him. So apparently he's quite a popular member of the side. So I wonder if we're going to see him feature a bit more, because it does give them another dimension up top, of course.
It's probably the one position you look at with Chelsea and say, is that something that's up for grabs?
Yeah.
Certain areas, Caicedo, Fernandez, Palmer, obviously these are mainstays, Cucurella and such. But the striking position is one that is up for grabs.
With Jackson going to Bayern.
Yeah, exactly. And they've only got Marc Guy, who came back from loan from Sunderland as well. So they've only got him, Delap. It's
João Pedro's kind of a bit of a lot of different things at once.
He's a purple. I do like João Pedro, but he's very much a purple patch striker.
Yeah.
So you'll get 7 in 9, and then he'll just not score for another 10 games. So he's kind of like that. So yeah, it is. And Delap can be a good focal point for them. And you clearly want somebody else to talk about maybe going on the plane.
All right, David.
That's what you're getting at. I know your agenda, Speller. Seriously.
Well done for calling him out on this.
Exactly.
It does give Thomas Tuchel food for thought, doesn't it?
Yeah. Are we going to do 10 minutes on Jamie Gittins now?
You can do it on Reece James if you want.
Played in midfield.
Could he sit next to Declan Rice in midfield? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, another good form. As you say, they've got their mainstays in the side. They're growing together as a squad. They look like they kind of are going somewhere. So it's a huge win. There's no doubt about that. And it'll make people step up and take note. Because Barcelona, I know this Barcelona side isn't brilliant, but it's still a side who, when you think about teams that are challenging potentially for the Champions League, I think they would get a mention.
You see the way they dispatch teams sometimes. There is brilliance in there.
Yeah, I mean, semi-finalists last season.
But I mean, the narrative around them last season was that Flick hasn't managed to get the defence functioning as he wants it to, and then that's the next step in the project. And he seems to have just entirely abandoned that idea.
They made a really bad decision in letting Inigo Martinez, veteran centre-back, go, who was just a really good, solid, mature presence there. Mm-hmm. Since losing him, I don't think things have been the same. So, I mean, there's always talk of Barcelona of buying a striker. They've been linked with Kane recently and such. But my word, I think they need 2 centre-backs before they really, are taken seriously. I mean, people fear them because of the way they play, the players that they do have.
And the attacking talent they've got as well.
But teams also know that they're very susceptible to giving up chances as well. And you will always get 3 or 4 good chances against Barcelona.
I mean, we mentioned the high line. I mean, I thought if they get another man sent off, is he going to go full Ange? Is that line going to get even higher?
Yeah.
It was a bit Angie.
Yeah, I mean, I quite enjoyed it, as you know. But just quickly, David, you obviously covered a lot of European football. Barcelona right now, again, for the reasons mentioned, obviously you've got Yamal in there and so on and so forth. And we saw what they did in last season's Champions League, only edged in that classic encounter with Inter. But where are they at the moment in terms of how the clubs... They've just moved back into the new camp.
Yep.
It's not fully opened yet, of
The
course.
Spotify.
The Spotify.
Spotify camp.
Did they have a live band for the goal music when they moved in? It sounded like
I think so. I think they did. Yeah. And there was a really good clip actually on Spanish TV this past week of an opponent team turning up at the Camp Nou, and they were looking around. They're going, "God, it's not very nice, is it? It's horrible." Which I thought was really, really funny. So,
dear. But Barcelona always tries to paint themselves out as the good guys, Mesquite Club, and so on and so forth. But in the last handful of years, I mean, you said, if I may, you said before we came on, if any Premier League side had operated in the way that they have of late, they'd be the most disliked side in the league.
Absolutely. Their actions have been so poor in terms of, if you look back, I mean, they give it the thing is, they still give it the big one about being more than a club.
Yeah.
When they are so far removed from that vehicle that they once were, the Qatar Airways deal, the Camp Nou, like what we said, but mainly the financial levers that have been pulled and the player registrations, where they're signing players that they simply can't register because they're not hitting salary caps and such. Yet they're sitting in the stands. Poor Danny Olmo was sitting there in the stands for a bit. I know Marcus Rashford is worried about it. There was the saga with Nico Williams as well. From Athletic.
So what was Rashford worried about? Sorry,
just not being registered.
Right. Okay.
Every player coming into Barcelona just kind of rolls the dice, I think, a little bit with that. So, but it's mainly the financial levers that they have pulled, basically selling off the furniture to pay for certain things and also get around it.
Kind of selling off the future, right? Like just
selling off
so many assets they won't be able to make any money out of in the future because they've front loaded it all now. That's going to bite them, surely.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. A lot of Premier League teams take out loans against future TV money payments and such. That's very much the norm. But this is on a different level. This is selling media companies, just different conglomerates as part of the club to fund things for the here and now and not really thinking about the long-term future of the club.
They didn't sell their women's team to themselves, did they?
No, they haven't done that.
You can't do that anymore, apparently.
Right. That might have been discussed last night in the posh box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or in one of those hotels that Chelsea sold to themselves.
Indeed.
Next time you need a little cash injection.
You could imagine that, couldn't you? So how did you sell your women's team to yourself? Well, we put in a very generous offer and we begrudgingly accepted it. Someone out of Simpsons. I mean, incredible. So a lot of history in that fixture, of course. Chelsea got the better of them, and maybe we'll see them face each other later on in the tournament. I don't know.
Barcelona will be absolutely fuming that they don't get a crack at them at the Camp Nou.
Yeah,
and that makes it all the funnier.
As I said before, though, I think before the season started or whatever, like with this Chelsea side, and it was kind of based on what they did at the Club World Cup, is they may well sort of be, in the final few weeks of the season trying to get back into the Champions League places in the Premier League or the battle for 4th or 5th or whatever it's going to be. And they'll probably just end up winning the Champions League and not have to worry about it. Do you know what I mean? There's such an interesting side. But of course, we remember many, many years ago when they went to the Nou Camp and won on aggregate that semi-final with the Gary Neville goalgasm.
Yes.
And Alan Parry, who was the commentator during that game, has been talking about that moment that Gary Neville had his goalgasm, as we call it. So Alan Parry was the commentator, Gary Neville was the co-commentator. And Alan Parry was... To the comments in this, I thought partly he was sort of joking about he says he was talking about that famous line in the World Cup final between England and Germany. They think it's all over. It is now, and certain commentators like even Clive Tilsley, name on the trophy, and all those kind of famous lines. And he thought when Torres goes through, and his line was.
The story has been written.
The story has been written.
Torres.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
As I identify with it.
Indeed. And he thought, this is my moment to get a famous line in that people are going to remember. And then he said, Gary Neville quite literally spunked all over it. And
that's not a direct quote.
Not a direct quote.
That's you paraphrasing.
That's my paraphrasing. He said, I thought, well, maybe this was my moment. And Gary bloody Neville spoilt my moment of fame. And I thought, he's having a bit of a joke. And then you read the quotes on, and you kind of go... half joking, maybe.
Yeah. Was this interview conducted like in a pub? Because he sounds increasingly angry. You can hear him aging in the interview, getting more and more crotchety. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But actually, this was the first Gary Neville goalgasm that was really, really famous, wasn't it? And I think a lot of the big moments, certainly from the Premier League in recent years, have one of Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville sort of go, in the background of it somewhere. And yeah,
do you not like that?
I would like them to wind it in a bit.
Would you? Okay.
Yeah.
I did quite like Martin Tyler. There was a moment, I forget which goal it was, where he just goes, there's this noise, and I did quite enjoy that.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for a sort of,
natural reaction.
Exactly, a natural kind of expression of surprise. And yeah, but it's just very repetitive now, isn't it?
Okay, fair enough. Your team, Parry.
Yeah.
Now, before we go for a break, Benfica and Ajax played last night. Both of those sides have played Chelsea in the Champions League so far this season. And of course, it is now Jose Mourinho's Benfica. They won 2-0 in Amsterdam, David. It was a good win for them, having had not the best of times of late, as Mourinho himself said. Hence, he got the job. Mm-hmm. And when they played Chelsea a number of weeks ago, I mean, it was very pedestrian from both sides, really, but particularly from Benfica. And Mourinho said on the weekend when they played a cup game against Atletico Club de Portugal,
that feels like a trap for Brassel. That
it does a bit, yeah.
Atletico Club de Portugal,
yeah, or Sporting Portugal, as I call them.
Sporting Bilbao.
Exactly. Who were a third division side. They beat them 2-0 in the cup. And Mourinho said, at half-time I made 4 substitutions, but I should have made 9. Those 9 players weren't on the pitch. Only 2 should have stayed. The system works. The players in it aren't working. I don't like players who betray me.
I love that.
It's kind of like...
Never change, Jose.
It's good,
never
but
change,
this is third season stuff. We've
Yeah.
long been saying that that window gets smaller and smaller, doesn't it? But it's already...
Yeah, but Jim, the third season, right? Think about this. He was younger and therefore probably more patient.
Yeah, sure.
All right?
Sure.
He was more patient back then. He's just an impatient older man.
I just don't. I've had this discussion with a few people before, and I just don't think he likes the modern footballer.
Yeah,
No,
I
he
think you might be right.
He's one of them who's just really against everything what football is now and what it represents as a modern footballer.
Yeah.
And I think he finds it very hard to translate his message across like he used to.
Yeah. I get the impression he probably doesn't like the modern world that much.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should manage in Saudi then.
Yeah. It's surely on the cards, isn't it?
Yeah, matter of time. I love that he said, I don't like players who betray me, because that reminds me of a story I heard about him where apparently, and this has been consistent throughout his career, he doesn't talk to injured players, just sort of ignores them, sort of treats them like I can't use you, so it's a waste of breath.
Yeah.
You basically don't exist.
Heal yourself through the power of your own mind, man.
Be better.
Yeah, exactly. But a good win for Benfica, though.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, Ajax have been really poor. I don't think Benfica are going to go through this first phase.
Ajax.
But come on,
Cursing
let's get behind him.
Yeah, Ajax.
You'd love a bit of that, wouldn't you? Arsenal to get Benfica in the next round.
God, you imagine the attrition there? It'd be great.
Yeah, easy peasy.
One last stand for Mo. You know he'd love that, wouldn't you? Like, just really.
That's exactly what he wants.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
last
You think you're a shit house now, do you, Arteta? I'll show you what it's really about.
Exactly. All right, coming up after this, we get an update from our very own Pete Donaldson, who's been in Marseille.
This episode is sponsored by Hire, official global partner of Liverpool Football Club. Hire has been ranked #1 global major appliances brand for 16 consecutive years, and that is because Hire products are designed to make everyday life just that little bit more personalised. With an innovative combination of performance and style, Hire has a massive range of amazing appliances. There's the washing machine that can keep your clothes fresh for up to 12 hours after a cycle has ended, so if you forget that you've left your clothes inside, and let's be honest, we've all done that and will continue to do so, then you don't need to rewash them. Then there's the oven with a built-in camera that can recognise your food and make sure it's cooked to your liking. There are smaller appliances like the kettle with a keep warm function so you don't have to keep reboiling it, or the blender that not only makes smoothies and soups but also has a kneading function that can be used to make dough. All appliances connect via the Hon app, which gives you tips on how best to stack the dishwasher, provide recipe inspiration for dinner, and get this, it can even recommend the best wine to pair with it. Hire is spelled H-A-I-E-R, and we're offering a discount on their amazing products. Just use the discount code HIREPOD for a 10% discount across the Hire website, which is www.hire.co.uk. That's HAIER.co.uk with the discount code HIREPOD.
You just mentioned the low block. When they hardly allow you to enter the box, what's the solution?
Kill someone.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble, everybody. Some fine advice there from Pep Guardiola.
Is it a cameraman? You just sort of sacrifice anyone?
That was brilliant, wasn't it? Having a word to the old cameraman. Let's talk about Manchester City. They lost 2-0 at home to Bayer Leverkusen. Pep Guardiola made 10 changes following their Premier League loss at Newcastle on Saturday. It's fair to say it didn't work, David. They were very poor.
No, this was very, very poor. And Pep instantly regretted that decision, I think.
Yeah.
And he said as much after the game. He said, look, I've never done it in this. Like, I've sometimes changed 4 or 5 players and what have you. But
he said he's too nice.
Yeah, apparently not too sure about that. But yeah, he said some strange things after the game. And it was, I know it's classic Pep in a way after a loss. He always comes out with a few wild things. And he said again, I haven't got the players. And you're a bit like,
yeah, because you didn't start any of them. You do. You've got loads of them. They're really good.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just had your 400 odd million B team out against Leverkusen, and it's hard to take from him. But
they underestimated Leverkusen.
Completely.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Completely underestimated him. And I think that the bad thing for Pep is, I think he looked at this game and said, I can put these players in, get their fitness up, and they'll really want this. They want to get in the team. But they just wasn't. And it must be so disappointing seeing your next crop of players come in and not produce like that when given a chance.
I have a theory on this, which is that, at the end of every transfer window, there's a couple you miss. You're like, oh, such and such when did he sign for Brighton? Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't think Pep knows that Erik ten Hag left Bayer Leverkusen. I think he was just thinking, this will be easy. This will be absolutely straightthestraightforward. Don't worry about this.
That guy again.
Yeah, I'll put out a joke team just to have a little dig. But the seriousness of it is, I think you're absolutely right. They've completely underestimated. Misunderestimating is a confusing. That's very Pep, actually. Very 4D chess, isn't it? I've misunderestimated you, which means I've actually taken you quite seriously.
Yeah,
that's not what he did.
No.
I think it was just silly to make that many changes against a team who have, obviously they've had a crazy start to the season, and they are quite a new team, given that that famous Leverkusen team of 2 seasons ago is like very few of those players even left. That's sort of been picked apart. But they've started to put a run of results together in the Bundesliga, and they've been looking pretty good. Obviously, Alex Grimaldo, the world's most free-scoring wing-back, with a double nutmeg, is a player you've got to watch, and so it proved. Patrick Schick is a very reliable goal scorer for them, so no real surprise that those two were among the goals there.
England's João Kwanzaa.
Well, exactly. I mean, that says it all, doesn't it? They've hugely underestimated them there. And the pattern of it. I mean, I second screened this one, obviously, and then watched the highlights of it afterwards. So you don't get the full experience as you do if you watch the game fully. But it seemed to me that the pattern was very similar to what you would expect from a regular Man City game, where they were kind of knocking on Leverkusen's door a lot, but they just repelled them fairly comfortably.
There wasn't that many chances. I mean, Haaland predictably came on and had a couple of moments. I mean, Flecken, smothered him when he went through on goal, and then he had one in which he whacked over the bar, which wasn't. It was a chance. It wasn't like the easiest of chances, but still, it was an opportunity. But I mean, Bayer Leverkusen themselves, playing with sort of back 3, back 5, they said that they were shocked when they saw the starting lineup.
Yeah,
that gives you a huge boost when you go away to a team like Manchester City, who I understand are not the City of 2, 3, 4 seasons ago, but still, it's a tough place to go. Fabulous players, and Guardiola's still there. So when you get that kind of lift just before kickoff, you look around and you go, bloody hell, lads, we've got a chance here because of what they've done.
Oh, absolutely. And look, Leverkusen, since they changed man, since Erik ten Hag left and they brought in Humland, they've only lost twice. And that was against PSG and against Bayern.
Yeah.
So so
they're a proper side.
Yeah, of course. They assembled a really talented crop of talent in the summer, despite the changeover, despite the transition from the Xabi Alonso era. The bad thing they did was brought Erik ten Hag in because he didn't speak to any of the players or any of the staff, and they realised very early on at Leverkusen that this was a terrible decision. So that's why. And I mean, it was the shortest tenure in Bundesliga history. After 3 games, he's gone.
So when you say he didn't speak to any of them, what, just as like a general?
But he's just generally not like that, and it's been one of the things that they've said about Humland coming in is that
can you expand on it? He's not like that.
Was he like? And here is the starting lineup that I'm going to communicate to you in performative dance. No, but when you say he's not speaking to them, he's clearly not on the day-to-day.
It's not personable.
It's very aloof.
Yeah, very aloof, not personal, didn't really build any relationships with any players. And Humland's come in and been the complete opposite of that and built things in close quarters. And they are 3rd in the Bundesliga and they are doing very well as a result of losing Ten Hag and his kind of gruff nature. I think, I think there's I don't want to get caught up in Ten Hag here too much. Sure. Like that, of course. I think he's a good tactician in places, but from a personable character, I think that's going to hold him back in the future, whatever job he takes. But moving back to Leverkusen. Yes.
But it's interesting what Hjulmand, the coach, did. We saw what he did at Denmark, the national team. Made them into a decent side. Bit of experience. I mean, he's managed in Germany before, but you're right. He's improved them a lot, and which is why. I don't watch a lot of Bundesliga. I haven't seen, but I knew they were improved, which is why, again, 10 changes. I appreciate Guardiola wants to include everyone, but he even changed the goalkeeper.
That's exactly what I was about to bring up. That smacks to me of one of these massive European overthoughts from Guardiola. No, we haven't, and they tend to come later, don't they?
And it's usually just one player, but he's got no whole lot of game. I'll change everyone. And they've only got Leeds on the weekend.
Yeah.
So it would have been...
Why is Haaland not starting this game?
Haaland was born in Leeds, right? So this is a big one for him, presumably.
True.
Wants to be fresh.
The Champions League qualification isn't assured for City.
No.
They now have to go away again, I do believe, to
Real Madrid.
To Real Madrid,
They're against Real Madrid next, yes, exactly.
And I mean, that is a tough position to put yourself in. And it hasn't been by chance. Pep has put City in that position that they're in.
Yes. This almost feels separate from their kind of league form, doesn't it? Because it's, it has been created by this really, really strange decision. You've got to win your home games in a campaign like this.
You absolutely do. I mean, and David's right. You're not a shoo-in to qualify for the next round of the Champions League. I mean, you look at the way they are. Okay, they're 6th. They've got 10 points. PSG are a point behind them and a game in hand. And they're at home to Spurs tonight.
Yeah, with Real Madrid next for City, as you say.
You'd fancy them to win that. Real Madrid and Liverpool, okay, maybe not the most reliable Liverpool, but Real Madrid sit 9th. They're 1 point behind Manchester City. They're on 4 games, and tonight they go to Olympiacos. You'd fancy them to win that. You wouldn't want to go into that. Well, they are in the situation now where they're in there. That if you put this game to bed, you don't have to worry so much against Real Madrid. I
don't see any outcome where City don't make the knockout stages of the Champions League, but I mean,
maybe you don't want to play off.
This is it. You're kind of toying with the playoffs there, which is 2 extra games you just don't need.
Look, in their final 2 games, I admit they've got Bodo Glimt and Galatasaray, so you would fancy that. But to me, Bayer Leverkusen is good. So I think it's odd, and the fact that he made 3 changes at half time. Shows you that bringing on Foden, O'Reilly and Doku, it shows you that he thought, I've got this wrong. And then obviously Cherki and Haaland come on a little bit later. But as you say, they've got to pull their socks up for Leeds United. But before the Newcastle game, so that's 2 defeats in back-to-back defeats now. Guardiola said the season starts today with regard to the Newcastle game on the weekend. He said the summer transfer window and the 3 international breaks are behind us. And we spoke about this on Monday, David, about the kind of, is it a reset, is it international breaks and so on. My prediction of them not winning the league, I'm sitting very happy on that right now because I know they've shown a bit. But are they back? You look at the inconsistencies, and I don't think we're going to see them click in a way that some are suggesting to get back to the old days.
And perhaps actually this lineup is a sign of Guardiola fearing that and being like, all right, well, I need to see what everyone else has got. How can I change this? This is an opportunity for 10 players at once to show me what they can bring to the first team. And it hasn't worked for whatever reasons, possibly because it's too much change at once. But it is a suggestion that, he's racking his brains.
But I appreciate also you maybe don't want to be reliant on 2 or 3 players because, Haaland got an injury and so on and so forth. But I still... Yeah, I think it's a strange one. Let's move on to Marseille 2, Newcastle United 1. Our very own Pete Donaldson was at the Stade Velodrome last night in southern France, and Petey left us a little voice note.
Hello, Pete here. I've lost my voice because I shouted at the football team too much, and I'm fresh from enjoying the hospitality of the gigantic, sexy, but rather twitchy Marseille police. I know they had riots a couple of years ago, but they really don't need to dress like the Legion of Doom or the police of Mega City 1. But it got a little bit ugly at the end. There was some baton swang, but It's not as if the football match was any better than that, because Newcastle were pretty poor. Marseille were really intense. They were really good, as you saw on the telly. Orbs should have levelled early on with a header, and he was probably good for a hat-trick, to be honest. But Newcastle United, they had enough in reserve to probably take the game to Marseille a little bit, but they didn't manage it. They were really, really sloppy. They were just passes going all over the place. They brought on Elanga and they didn't put the ball in space. They were trying to put it into his feet, which is not really his game. They put on Nicky Voltemada. They didn't put balls in the air, and they've only really got themselves to blame. But that is, that's Newcastle United 2025 to 2026. They're probably going to qualify at the group, so that's all still good. So look, all good. I am in Europe on a Tuesday night, and I'm off to a Carrefour to buy a Maxibon and some fucking crisps. Paprika, thank you. It's France. Good night. A bientôt.
He sounded like he was in a cell, didn't he?
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
After he'd smoked a pack of 10 lead pipes. Just absolutely insane.
The man...
How much was he shouting? Eddie, sort it out.
What happened was... Like all good English people do at a certain age when they go to France, he's bought a load of those massive bangers, which are like, those sort of, what was it, Acne TNT in the cartoons, like those sticks of dynamite.
Yeah.
He's bought a load of them, he set them off, the police are not having it, he's paying the price today for it. Nice to hear that he's going to have a Maxibon though.
Yes.
Something that we can all get behind. But Newcastle United, despite the batons and Pete's support, they weren't great. And your man, Jim, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang,
36 years old, still got it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable finish for his first goal. A lot of people have blamed Nick Pope, and obviously that doesn't happen without Nick Pope making this decision he made. But to finish it from there is still exceptional, right?
Yeah,
he's still got a lot to do.
He was brilliant. He inspired them.
But what the hell was Nick Pope doing?
Yeah.
Is that the most un-Nick Pope thing you've ever seen?
No, because he's done it before.
What, rushing out?
No, not rushing out. He's made these errors before. I think it's 3 away games in a row now. He's made these big high-profile errors.
But that specific error of rushing out that. You never see him off his line much, do you?
It's a funny one, that.
It's really...
It smacks of kind of the occasion making him make a strange choice.
Maybe. I mean, it's quite a fierce place to go. It looked like when Aubameyang goes past him, that Pope was just shouting, at him to try and put him off. If you watch it back again, I don't know whether he's just going, shit, or what, but it did look like he was trying to...
I'm all for it.
A bit of gamesmanship there. But Newcastle got themselves in a good position. 1-0 up, Harvey Barnes again among the goals. They were looking okay. And as I think it was Dan Burns said, it was 10 minutes or so of madness, and it's cost them the match.
They were very, very good to start off with. It was 10, 15 minutes, but I think they dropped off. They got very negative after that. Howe stuck to his back five. They dropped in very, very deep, and I think Marseille really felt that, and everything went through so they sprung a surprise last night by starting young Bacola from the academy. He's only 17, so he was really impressive. And then Greenwood as well was really going at them. They were triple teaming him at some points because they just really want. And one of the keys to this, Howe went man to man. So Dan Burn was always coming out to wherever Greenwood was going. So Greenwood decided to drop off into centre midfield and very, very deep at times, and it was pulling Burton out and leaving Thiaw one-on-one a lot of the time with Aubameyang as well. So it caused a lot of issues for them.
Yeah, when you say it like that, I thought, yes, it did seem surprising that he went for that, because if Greenwood's going to do that, sometimes you've got to keep your shape. But I mean, it's funny with Greenwood for obvious reasons, and we kind of forgotten about him here. But he's a quality footballer.
He's an unbelievable footballer. I don't think that's ever been up for debate, and he's probably one of Marseille's best players, absolutely. But I think it was Alba's night. Absolutely, he was inspirational. He was really, really good. For 36 to still be doing that at this level, really, really impressive.
Yeah. I think it's his best scoring start in 8 seasons, something like that. Mm-hmm. And the second finish was brilliant as well, because essentially
lovely strikers.
He is marked. The defender's on him. He's just done really, really well at getting there in time and giving them no chance. Newcastle have done nothing wrong in that goal.
Still got that pace, that level of acceleration is brilliant there. And obviously now with him being 36, he's just older and wiser. So he's got a better all-round game about him.
He's always been a really clinical finisher, although being one of those players where surprisingly sometimes they sky something that you think they'll put away really easily. But he's always had a lot of finesse about his shooting, and that has not deserted him at all.
Yeah, although, I mean, he did miss a good chance in the first half. I think he was just disappointed in himself, which probably made him sharper and more focused in the second half when he got his goals. We heard from Pete there talking about police and the atmosphere. Newcastle fans were designated a special fan zone before the game, by the way. So, somewhat of a welcome. It was manned by armed police, though. But then that's just the police in France for you, Jim.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Apparently one Newcastle fan said it was friendlier than Big Market, so... Fair enough.
Yeah. So Newcastle. I mean, we speak about Man City with work to do. Newcastle. I mean, they're eighth, 9 points in the Champions League this season. They've got 3 fixtures left. They've got Bayer Leverkusen away next. My message to them: don't underestimate them. Yeah. Erik ten Hag's long gone,
and then they'll probably start Baltimore as well.
Yeah, and then they've got PSV at home, and then PSG away.
Oh, they're really tricky.
So they're up against it in terms of automatic qualification, of course. But you never know with this Newcastle side.
No, you don't.
In European competition.
You could see them getting 6 points from those games. I think.
6 points.
Yeah.
Okay. I think they'd bite your hand off for that.
Mm.
Not too shabby at all. Now, elsewhere in the Champions League last night, Juventus beat Bodo Glimt 3-2 with a stoppage time winner. Did you see a Norwegian reporter was skiing on the pitch a few hours before kickoff?
It's such an amazing stadium, that. It really looks like it's in some sort of magical realm.
Yeah.
I just love watching games there. It's really a real shame that Juventus managed to get the win at the end.
But I mean, do you feel, though, if someone is skiing hours before kickoff on the pitch, it's grounds to call the game off?
Well, they cleared the snow, and it's an all-weather pitch. So I think they simply couldn't be a club if they had that rule up there.
Okay, do you think? I mean, do you think that's them sort of flaunting what they've got? Get out of this. One of those ones where Juventus do that thing on a Sunday morning. They've had a heavy night out. They wake up and they go, "Come on." Hope the game's going to be cancelled, isn't it? But it wasn't, and they won it.
Yeah, the third goal is from Kenan Yildiz doing some incredible work, and he is a hell of a player. Like, it's already a fantastic player, but going to be a superstar for a long time, I think.
Yeah. All right, coming up after this, a superstar now, Ronaldo, will be available for the World Cup. Of course he is. Welcome back, everybody. Now, let's depart ways with the Champions League for just a moment to tell you that Cristiano Ronaldo will be free to play at the World Cup. Of course he will. What were you worried about? He was given a customary 3-match ban for violent conduct against Ireland. But FIFA's disciplinary committee on Tuesday have reduced that to a 1-game ban, which was served in the game against Armenia, the last game of qualification for Portugal, with the other 2 matches suspended under a year's probation.
Which is a completely normal thing that we see all the time, isn't it? I mean, this, in theory, should open the door to everybody in a similar situation requesting the same. Maybe there isn't anyone in this situation.
I think Otamendi and another player, I definitely know what Otamendi is, and there's another one as well. They're in the same situation.
If they don't get their sentences suspended in the same manner.
I mean, it's so weird because when we were talked about this, I remember when Wayne Rooney was sent off against Montenegro ahead of Euro 2012, and it was violent conduct. It was a straight red, it was, mad thing that Rooney did, and therefore should have been out for the 3 group games. And England managed to get that reduced to 2 games. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the system works.
So the system is bulletproof. So I thought it was important to say that.
Yeah,
because,
I think you're right.
Because, we England benefited from that.
I'd forgotten that.
Indeed. So, but that seems... So whatever you may think of that, if you think, why on earth should that be reduced by a game or something? I kind of agree with, I think, was it you, Jim, or somebody said, why would a red card in qualification carry on to the tournament?
Yeah.
I think when the tournament comes around, everything should be white, personally.
Even reds.
Yeah,
yes.
Indeed.
I agree.
I think it's pretty mad.
It's just that they've taken a nonsensically kind of bureaucratic way around it.
Exactly. Had they reduced the 3 games to 1 game and just gone, do you know what, we've reduced it to 2. He's already served 1. He might miss the first game. You kind of go, there's a bit of jiggery-pokery there, but I kind of understand it. But to have a 1-game ban, so which is that, and then the 2 further matches suspended under a year's probation, what the bloody hell's going on?
Yeah.
We know what's going on.
Well, okay.
We saw where he was last week and
possibly,
who he was with. It's
possibly the most pointless question I've ever asked. Yeah.
But what's interesting about this is based on recent events, it looks like he's arranged this with Donald Trump.
Just astonishing.
Is this what Gianni Infantino does now? Ask Donald. I don't know. I'm not in charge anymore.
But Infantino, as we know, has gone to the White House more than any. Well, I was about to say more than any other world leader. He is in a way.
He behaves like that, and he behaves like he thinks that.
Yeah,
like FIFA is a country.
We've always said this, that FIFA are like this floating government that kind of exists. You know, in not in the shadows, not quite like that, although, but. They turn up every 4 years and just feast like some parasite on some country, and then they move on to
maybe
the
they were the worm in RFK's brain. Who knows?
Maybe they were. But as we know, Cristiano Ronaldo was at the White House recently and met Donald Trump. Donald Trump shared an AI video of him and Ronaldo playing football in the Oval Office. And I have to say, in that video, Donald Trump does have a good touch for a big man.
He doesn't look bad. Ronnie's still got it as well.
Yes. So, I mean, genuinely does still. He didn't need to have an AI video. What's bordering on the second most pointless question I've ever asked? What's going on?
I mean, it's
just generally.
Yeah, the question becomes more and more relevant every day. You can shout that into the void all day long, and it doesn't get any less reasonable.
He could be alluding to literally anything. That's what is going on. Do you know what I mean? Are we still even talking about football anymore?
Do you know what though? If Trump wanted to gain an ounce of respect from us, the footballing community, he'd get messy in the White House and do an AI video of them both doing better stuff than what they were doing.
Just set them up against each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just watching.
Yeah, bloody Nora. Anyway, I think we should get back to the Champions League as quickly as possible. Arsenal face Harry Kane's Bayern Munich tonight at 8 p.m. Bayern Munich and Arsenal, much like Barcelona with their Chelsea rivalry. There's a bit of history between these two.
Yeah, very much so.
Indeed, Jim. You're looking
with
forward
Harry
to this
Kane.
one? Yeah, well, are you looking forward to this one?
I am looking forward to it. I think it's a real good test of where Arsenal are, all over the pitch, really. They met a couple of seasons ago in the quarterfinals, I think it was. And Arsenal went 1-0 up, and then they had two lapses in concentration. Bayern scored twice. Trossard then equalised afterwards, and it was a game where it really, I think, showed the steps Arsenal still had to make. There was still a little bit of naivety. There was still a little bit of kind of the quality was lacking at that very, very top level, and that's what Bayern are. I think they're the best team in Europe right now. They're a really sort of huge litmus test. Arsenal are yet to concede in the Champions League this season. Obviously, Gabriel has been a big part of that. He's not there. Hincapié has been an able deputy so far, but he's only played a couple of games. He'll be familiar with Bayern, but I can tell you that doesn't help you. that means absolutely nothing. I think Harry Kane's got 24 goals this season.
Loves it, doesn't he?
A lot of strikers would be happy with that in a season, and it's the end of November and he's got that already. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, he's practically guaranteed to score, so you have to sort of mitigate against that. So yeah, I'm really, really intrigued to see how it plays out.
Yeah,
there's talk that Martin Odegaard will be available, probably on the bench. So that's part of the cavalry starting to come back as well.
What does he do with that Arteta when Odegaard is fit? Because he's been such a crucial player for Arsenal.
Well, I think it's not, sorry to jump ahead of your question, but I think it's not just Eze that's giving him a headache with that, because Leandro Trossard is in such good form. I think he's undroppable at the moment. So the solution, if you want Eze and Odegaard in the team, is you play Eze off the left, which has been and you pronounce his name differently every time you say it. That has been one of the kind of mooted solutions to get them both in the team. We've seen that already earlier in the season. But again, Trossard's form is so good that maybe possibly Odegaard will have to be a little bit patient. And also, he's been out for a while. You don't want to chuck him straight into every game. So
there's no need to.
No, there's absolutely
no need. But this all bodes well. But how many times do you say Arsenal with slightly thinner squad than what they should have? You got these options. This is what happens, and that's a part of it, isn't it? If you want to be the side who go on to win the Premier League and maybe go even further, which would be the final, lest we forget Arsenal got the semis. These are the decisions. I mean, Bayern, Arsenal, and Inter, the only sides with perfect records left in the Champions League. Inter obviously away to Atletico Madrid tonight. But it is, I think that you look at these two sides, David, Bayern and Arsenal, they're both running away with their domestic leagues, aren't they, Jim? No, but they've both been very impressive in their domestic leagues, particularly Bayern, scoring goals for fun and so on. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I mean, Jim's just said they're Bayern's best team in Europe, but Arsenal's got a good shot at that as well.
Yeah.
So Bayern fans will be treating this game, kind of like with a bit of apprehension, I think, and just knowing how good Arsenal are. And look, with all respect to the Bundesliga, this will be the best team that Bayern have faced this season by far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough one to call, but this is a really good game considering the stage where it's at in the group stage. You know, this is something we'll probably be looking forward to in a semi-final or so.
Quite possibly.
It's also a nice time for it as well because it's certainly from where I'm sat, because it's not a disaster for either team if they don't get the result they want. Right? There's enough road left, and obviously they've got enough points already. So this could be a much worse time to face Bayern.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it'd be crazy if they don't qualify automatically for the next round. These two sides. Yeah. I mean, Arsenal. You know, they've got Club Brugge left in the Champions League. Then they've got Kairat as well.
Inter away.
Inter away
that's the tricky one,
is another one. But again, I think again with those clubs, there'll be Club Brugge surely, and Kairat you would imagine.
Kairat's at home as well.
Kairat's at home, yes, exactly.
Very welcome.
I was about to say that's a crucial piece of information.
You might be able to make 10 changes for that one.
You could do. You do all 11, damn it all, and let someone else manage the side. But no disrespect to Kairat, genuinely. But yeah, I think Bayern at home and then Inter away. As I say, they're the only sides left. Inter's not until January, of course. Or you know, two of those games aren't. I think it's a fascinating one. But one of the other sides, David, who will be fancied for Champions League season, of course, the holders PSG. They have Tottenham Hotspur, a repeat of the Super Cup final, of course, which PSG won on penalties. PSG, they don't have a perfect record, but they won 3, they lost 1, to Bayern, of course. What do you make of PSG? I mean, obviously still strong. Are they as scintillating, or is the Club World Cup hangover still there?
No, I still think they're as impressive. They have an ability to pick 30, 40 minutes out of a game and absolutely blitz you, put 2 or 3 past you, then the game's done before in a blink of an eye. So they've still got that capability, and they always will be with that attacking line that they have. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how Spurs deal with this one after the weekend. After a lot of the discourse on Frank feels like it's turned a corner as well. He said yesterday, "Look, I'm 1,000% sure I can make a team of this Spurs, and I can be a success here." Whether this is the game where they show they're going to turn a corner or so, I'm not too sure. This is something that might come in the future, but this is a really difficult game for them to go into after the weekend. I do believe.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how they set up, right? Because on paper they went ultra defensive on Sunday, and obviously that did not work. They didn't execute that plan properly.
On grass, they went ultra defensive.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, on grass they were just sort of all over the shop, weren't they? So they can't really. I suppose they can try that again against PSG, but they have to do a much better, much different job of it.
Well, kind of do similar to what they did in that Super Cup final. I mean, I know PSG, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I know injuries and so on and so forth, but they have to show more than what they did against Arsenal.
It's a balancing act, I was going to say. It's I don't think you can go as defensive as you were against Arsenal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't go too gung-ho because PSG.
Yeah, well, this is it.
Isn't it?
There's no shame in them losing this game. Of course, there is. There is a danger that they get absolutely panelled, and that will kind of add to the narrative, won't it?
Is it fair to say Joao Pellegrini might be quite busy in the centre of the pitch?
The Axeman cometh.
Who are you marking? Everyone? No one? I don't know.
He's going to have to. I mean, those big slide tackles of his, he's going to have to take out 2 players at once. You know,
he's going to need another couple of legs.
Yeah. But if there's one man who can do it, I back old Joao. Elsewhere in the Champions League, Liverpool host PSV tonight. You would think that was a straightforward one, Jim, but PSV are going to be well aware of what's going on at Liverpool at the moment.
Absolutely.
And this is the problem with these run of results. They go there and they're still aware of Liverpool and Anfield and all that kind of stuff. There's still a bit of respect, but the fear factor is not dialed up as it might be.
Well, I mean, we say that, don't we? But how many times have we seen Liverpool kind of struggle domestically, and then when it comes to Anfield in particular on a European night, it's like none of those struggles are happening at all.
So the Real Madrid game, fine, and when Real Madrid come to town, Liverpool played well, and fair enough, they got the win. But when it's Real Madrid, David, it's kind of that gives you everybody a lift. When it's a side like PSV, you've still got to be at the races. You've still, as Man City found out against Bayer Leverkusen. Mm-hmm. So I think there'll be a lot of people watching this game wondering, okay, are Liverpool? Are we going to see a bit of an upset here?
Every Liverpool game now is a case study of just how to deal with adversity, and I think they're having a lot of trouble dealing with it. And I think that's partly one of the biggest problems that they have is their inability to stave off this slump, this blip, whatever you want to call it. But no, I think they should win. Despite all that, I still think they should win convincingly tonight. I could see, Salah getting back amongst the goals, a few smiles, and I think for a brief period at least until the weekend when they go back to the Premier League, the gloom is lifted.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've been really good in the Champions League. They had that result against Galatasaray, which was, I think, a bit of a blip if you take the campaign in isolation. 2 good wins against the Madrid sides, that scored a lot of goals against Eintracht Frankfurt, which, Eintracht Frankfurt's approach to defending seems to be that they just don't really want to do it.
No.
So you kind of maybe ignore that a little bit. But yeah, I kind of expect... this is the thing with Liverpool, isn't it? I suppose every time you see them play, you think, surely they're sort of going to course correct now. But, well, who knows?
Yeah. PSV have done okay in the Champions League. When they started badly against Union Saint-Gilloise, drew against Leverkusen, they knocked 6 past Scott McTominay's Napoli.
Yeah,
that was wild. Yeah,
I mean that was crazy. I don't know if I had a man sent off.
But they did have Scott McTominay, which is like having 2 men.
Exactly, and they are top, doing very, very well in the Eredivisie. They also have a player who's wonderfully named Dennis Mann. So I will be watching this game, I think. Just to
see if he is the man.
Yeah, well, indeed. Just in a sort of as Luke said, a sort of a rubbernecking type way.
Yeah.
To see what's going to happen, but look, there's still a bit of hope there because they've got a very, very good squad. But Arne Slot did admit that he feels guilty about Liverpool's poor form. I mean, he's the manager after all, I suppose. Michael Owen, though, he believes that Liverpool are still in the title race. Hope springs eternal, Jim.
Speaking with the logic of a man who thinks that if you throw a dart at someone and it hits them, it's their fault.
Yeah. What do you think of this? Paul Scholes believes that Liverpool's poor form started from when Arne Slot was seen DJing in Ibiza.
I think he's just morphing into Mark Lawrenson.
Do you think?
It's just that he just seems to get grumpier and grumpier every time you hear from him. You sense from Paul Scholes, even when you are reading what he said, that he's slumped in a chair, he's sighing as he says it. He doesn't want to be talking to the person who's asking him the questions. He's just so grumpy, and I kind of love it.
I really like him on his podcast with Nicky Butt and Paddy McGuinness,
which presumably he doesn't want to do.
I mean, it doesn't sound like he wants to be there, but there's a few nice little stories in there. But I'm quite enjoying it.
To be fair, though, to Paul Scholes in his suggestion, I mean, Arne Slot, I don't know whether he was seen with Wayne Lineker or not, but if you get in that man's orbit, which you do, if you go to Ibiza, then
I thought he was just on a sun lounge with like his wife and his daughter.
No, he was DJing.
Oh, was he? Oh, right. Sorry, I missed this completely.
Wasn't he just in the DJ booth? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that makes him David Guetta. Yeah.
Ask him to play for something. Just one of those annoying people. Like, can you play this?
Quite possibly. Well, there we are.
Phil Collins.
Now you're talking. Thanks for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. Friends of the Ramble, make sure you go and watch Ramble Uncut. And if you're not a friend of the Ramble, click the join button right now to get a bonus episode every single Wednesday.